that comes along with childhood. Well, let me say, we have quite a few ladies. We have quite a few people that have new babies, and that does take a lot of extra time. So you might be feeling like, oh, I can't get this or that done, but I have a new baby, I'm trying to schedule them. So that's common sense. You need to give more time to that, but then you're gonna have to take something else off the plate and squeeze in more time for the new baby. If my relationship with God will stay. Okay, and then the Bible tells us as ladies that we're supposed to be keepers at home. Okay, what is a keeper at home? That means we're taking care of our home, we're keeping a clean house, we're taking care of the food. There's so many things involved in it. I called it homemaking, and I wrote something on here. My husband used to say, that you would be shocked if you knew how many divorces happen because of this homemaking. Ladies who just are not taking care of the home, they're running about. The Bible says that the strange lady, she doesn't abide in her house. We should be taking time in our homes and taking care of our homes, and that's so important. Ourselves together. We're supposed to be a church. That's a high priority, being at church. God wants us to be here. If there are things that are keeping us from church, then we're not having our priorities right. I think of, I don't know anybody here, so if you do this, then I'm not talking about you, but I know people in the past where they would put their kids in like a little league baseball team, and they would miss all summer evening services, but that's not good because God doesn't want us in this church. He wants us to be in church. We're all supposed to be winning souls, telling people about the Lord, so we want that, of course, to be here also. Now, let me say this, our ministry and our soul winning, based on your season of life, there's ladies here that don't have children at home to take care of, and they don't have children who are making a mess at home, so they don't have to put a lot of time into cleaning. So their piece of pie for ministry and soul winning can be much bigger than a lady who has 6 little ones and a new baby that they're trying to train. So again, we have to see, okay, what's my proper priority at this time in my life? And we don't use it as an excuse not to serve the Lord or not to win souls, but we just have to keep everything in proper balance. And then some of us, God says we're supposed to love the Lord and love others. And what does that look like? Again, it might be that you don't have a bunch of children at home and you have a lot of extra time and you can go bring a meal to somebody, or you can make a call and encourage somebody. And all of us can do those things, but some have more time to do them than others, but we all should be living for others. But on the flip side, we don't want to make others coming over to where we're not taking care of our own home, because I know ladies that'll run out and take care of the whole wide world, but they're neglecting their own children, and they're not taking care of their own home. So again, it's important to live for others, but with balance. So you can see, if we get all our priorities and put them all in our life, it pretty much fills up most of our time. And there's other things, some people have to work. And I know it's California and prices are high and some of us have to work. I work part-time in the finance office as well. But if our work is consuming our life and it's keeping us don't know where the time comes from. How many of you like to do crafts? So we have crafts and hobbies, whatever your hobby may be. There was a time in my life where I loved doing crafts when we got married earlier, and I would make gifts and so forth. But at some point I couldn't do it anymore. It just didn't fit my time plate. Parties, that's graduation time, right? We're all struggling to keep up and go to every party there is. Taking trips. How many of you love shopping? Okay, I do not like shopping. I like thrift stores sometimes, but I don't like shopping. I'm like a Walmart Plus person, just put it on my doorstep and I'll bring it in the house and put it away. But there's shopping, reading. Any bookworms in here who likes reading? Okay, there's reading. How about TV? How about Amazon Prime movies? I have Amazon Prime. I put on like Leave It to Beaver and Andy Griffith for my husband because after he listens to like 10 hours of preaching, I figured he needs something to make him laugh for a while. But we can just get so much onto this that again, where's it going to fit? Is it going to fit? You know, it's going to take the place of our marriage. It's going to inch out our child rearing to where we're focused on that, and we're letting our kids get in trouble when we're not being consistent in our discipline. So we have to figure out what exactly it is that what priorities does God have for me, and what can I fit, and I need to put them in order, and every time I'm trying to decide what am I going to do, should I say yes or no to this? We have to go back to God's priorities that He's given to us. And like I said, there's different seasons and things change. And all of our priorities are not the same as the person sitting next to us, again, based on where we are in life. I think about different things that changed in my life throughout time. There was a time where I wasn't able to go to my boys' baseball games or basketball games. And I was actually criticized by a family member. They would say, oh, you aren't going to the boys' games? But my husband and I decided at that time, when I have 5 more little ones and a baby at home, that that wasn't something that can fit in my pie, and I couldn't keep up with everything and do everything. So for a time that had to go. Now when my husband went into the hospital, that going to games, that jumped way up on my priority list because my boys were going to have a parent at their games, and I went travel to tournaments. I did all those things because at that time in my life, I felt that was so important. I think about when we were apartment managing, and that was how we made it financially in the early days, is by managing apartments. And I think I did it till I had 4 or 5 children. I don't remember, but there was some point where my husband could tell it was getting me down and discouraged, and I was having trouble keeping up with everything. And he said, we're going to let go of the apartment managing. And my response is, how are we going to make ends meet? Like, that's our rent, and I would paint, and I would clean the carpets, I would clean the cribs. I did everything in managing apartments instead of hiring out so that we could get the money. But he said, no, we got to let it go. And of course, God took care of us, and my priorities became what it should be because I wasn't stealing all my time. I think about what my husband used to tell me sometimes, and some folks would have an expectation that I should do this or I should do that. And he would say, Mary, everybody in our church doesn't have 8 children and a baby at home that they're trying to raise. Like, you can't compare because we're not all the same. I remember a time when I got discouraged, and I told my husband, I said, I feel like I'm so backslidden. Every day is, like changing diapers and taking care of crying kids and trying to cook and trying to clean. And I was remembering a time when I was a teenager or a single, and I was able to read all these godly books and listen to sermons, and my heart would burn, and I just felt like I was so spiritual. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, I'm not so spiritual anymore. And he told me, Mary, this is a different season in your life. I have something I sent to all my daughter and daughter-in-laws recently. It was a lesson that I had put together some time ago for the lady leaders in their church. And I said, if we don't realize that our family and our home and our dishes and all those things are our ministry, then we'll get discouraged. So those things are important too. And I still think it's good to read books and encourage ourselves and listen to the sermons, and I do, but now maybe do it while you're washing dishes. And don't feel not cook and shop for 25 people plus my family, and I was having trouble with the homemaking side of things. And so we had to stop, make a decision, what are we gonna do? We felt like that's what God wanted us to do right then. I was serving my husband by serving those boys, because that was the ministry he wanted. But so what we did was, we found some teenage girls who would come in and they would help with the cleaning, and they would help me some with the cooking and different things. So we were able to still keep in balance. At this time in my life, my husband needs a lot of time. I bathe him, I dress him, I clean him, I brush his teeth, I turn on his food, keep an eye on, like I do everything for him. So that's like a big part of my pie right now. And then I still have other things. I feel like my boys that aren't married, like, to me, they're a really high priority now because they don't have dads. So I probably like go a little more in making them a priority. And so that's where I am right now. And then I have, of course, ministry and working at the finance office and everything. But my pie definitely has shifted. And then we realized that each one of us has to say, what is in my life right now? What are my priorities? And then we adjust them accordingly. We don't look at anybody else, and it doesn't matter what somebody thinks I should be doing. I have to know, here's what God has for me right now, and I have to make my choices accordingly. I thought of this just kind of silly little thing this morning. I was trying to walk out the door and come over here, and I knew our nurseries are kind of in a little disarray because they're not furnished yet, but we're using them because of the remodel. And I'm like, no workers have any chairs to sit on. I need to get over there and figure out where some chairs are. And then I wanted to through my lesson again. I had my little agenda, what I wanted to do this morning. And so I was trying to leave. And then all my grandkids came out the door. And little Joseph came over and he started telling me about his basketball game is today. And I said, do you think you're gonna win? And in that moment, all of you have been there. It's like you have all these things pressing that you need to go do, but there's always things calling for our time at the same moment. And in the moment, you have to make a decision, what's important. And to me, it was like I was feeling pressure to hurry up and get to church and take care of a bunch of things. But I was like, no, my grandkids are my priority. The ladies will have to get their own chairs, So we did get them chairs though. But so he told me all about the team, and he told me how, kids, they can tell a story quickly. They're telling the long version of the story. So Joseph's telling me all about they got the tallest player in the league on their team, so they really should win. And then the whole time Lydia's standing there going, Grandma, like she's looking for her opportunity to say something. And so then I said, yes, Lydia. And then she tells me, she said, Grandma, remember when we were doing the chalk paint the other day on the ground? And she said, I went to tell my dad something. And again, you know how they tell the story in a long, slow version. And so she said, man was looking at me, it was my train of thought. She said, my ear was bleeding. And she said, I think a bee stung me. And then she said, and I said, oh, that's so sad, or whatever I said. And then she goes, oh, wait, Grandma. A couple days later, she said we were eating cherries, and when we were eating the cherries, I took some of the cherry juice and I put it on my ear, like I got stung again. And she's telling me this whole cute little story. And then the whole time, Andrew's standing there, and Andrew was saying, Grandma, and he gave me like 4 hugs, and we said goodbye about 10 times. And finally, I made it over here. But it was just an example of one of those moments where it's like everything's calling for you, but in the moment, it's like, okay, what's important in this moment? And our life is filled with those, and we have to stop, and we have to look, and we have to say, okay, what is most important at the moment? And then we pick accordingly. And then, I'm at the end, but I have just 2 verses for us, and then I'm going to close. But I was in the bathroom the other day, and I don't know if it was our Chinese students or somebody, they must have had a game, and it was a list of the little abbreviations that people use on their phone. I guess when you're texting, there's like the LOL kind of texts. So it was a list of them, so I guess they played a game and they had to see who knew them. And one of them was YOLO, Y-O